Welcome. Welcome to the Spiritual Mastery Summit, Mastering Higher Plane Consciousness in Everyday Life. In this summit, we'll dive deep into what it means to master our divine self and what it looks like to live a truly spiritually sovereign life on Earth. I am your host, Catherine O'Connor, co-creating with Divine Light Being and Light Thoth. And to all of you who are listening, welcome. Inviting you, if it feels aligned, to set an intention to receive exactly what is most aligned for you to receive through this experience. And it's with great warmth and joy that I now welcome our very special guest, Laura Evenson.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. So Laura is a multidimensional quantum intuitive healer who works with spirit to facilitate ancestral healing, dissolve soul level imprints, and activate mirrored timelines ready for completion. By perceiving threads of light within the energetic body, she helps clients release old patterns, restore wholeness, and reconnect with their inner clarity, strength, and empowered embodiment. And today with Laura, we'll be diving into a topic that I think is very central at the moment in terms of what's required for us to incarnate more of our divine self and live from that place. And that is the body is the gateway, opening your spiritual gifts. So, Laura, I feel like there are many directions that we could go in terms of this conversation. So, I know I've invited you to take us in any direction that feels most aligned in the moment. And the one that I'm curious about is um, you're calling like the masterclass topic is the body is the gateway. And so I'm thinking that might stop people in their tracks if they really start to kind of tune into the body and the body being the gateway to our spiritual gifts. So I'm wondering, can you talk us through a little bit what that means to you?
Yes, I would love to. And thank you so much for having me, Catherine. I'm so happy to be here. So the body, everything flows through the body. And so in order to allow the flow to come in, we have to have a regulated nervous system. We have to have self-trust. And when we trust ourselves, we open to the flow that's coming in. And so once there's that, and then once you have the information flowing through you, it's about understanding what's been said and then actually utilizing it, putting it into your daily life so that it can be integrated and embodied. And that's what really causes the great shift in your perspectives, in your relationships, and in your life. And so when I talk about regulating the nervous system, we really do that through our breath. And we begin to deepen our breath and slow our breath, which tells the body that it's safe. And so most people, before they go into their practice, will get into a meditative state. And that really allows that safety in the body. And then the self-trust is just allowing, not telling ourselves that we're imagining things and not bringing in that self-doubt, because especially when we first start a new practice, there is going to be self-doubt. And I definitely had to work through mine, and I still work through mine at times. And so it's about, you can come up with certain tools that will help you to set that aside and set any fears aside. And one of the ways to set the fear aside is just to hold the intention that only that which is for our highest and best good may come through. Saying something like that, something similar that allows you to know that you are safe and puts up that energetic boundary. So yeah, that's basically why I'm saying the body is the gateway. And a really important component to that is really grounding into the earth. Because if we're not grounded, um, we're not we're not really in our body. We're not anchored to the body, and the body being grounded really allows that clarity to come through as well.
Mhm. It's really, really beautiful. There are a number of things coming to me. The first is, like, I think you brought through that key of being grounded, and that groundedness is really important. And then the down regulation of the nervous system to allow the incarnation of your full self to come through. Because when the nervous system is dysregulated, or you're in either anxiety, you're in kind of flight or fight mode,
Mm-hmm.
it's very hard to bring through the what we call the higher consciousness,
Right.
because the higher consciousness is kind of kicked out by the fight or flight response of the nervous system. Um, and what's happening for many of those of you who are listening is, because you might be struggling to down regulate the nervous system enough, it's like you're kicking out part of the real essence of who you are, just unconsciously, and it's no fault of your own. It's more that we live in a
Right.
society that's very high stimulus, and so it's very challenging for the physical body to be here in an environment where there is so much going on, particularly if you're very sensitive, that it's very easy for the nervous system to go into go to upregulate rather than downregulate, which is why, Laura, that beautiful practice of meditating, which really supports you to kind of down regulate, to come into the present moment, to bring the light through in that state. Now, there are lots of other pieces we feel are coming through, but we did also want to highlight this grounding aspect, and that grounding is connecting inwards as well as connecting down. And
Right.
just wondering if you'd like to say a little bit more about, like, just expanding the conversation around what groundedness actually can look like and feel like, and how to do that in a way that's going to be most beneficial for the nervous system and for individuals.
Yeah. So I like to um, pretend that I have like a grounding cord from my root going all the way down my leg channels through my feet and winding down into the earth, and just imagining um, that they're going all the way down into um, the crystalline core of Mother Earth. And through that, then I allow that Mother Earth energy to wind up and reside in my heart space to hold me and anchor me within the practice. That's the way that I like to do that. And then, then at that point, I'm pulling down divine white light through my soul star chakra and down through my higher chakras and into my heart as well. So that's the way I like to start. And that just, and then also using the breath to slow things down. And all of those things create that safety and groundedness within our bodies. Did
Mhm.
that answer the question,
It
or did
did.
it?
No,
Okay.
that's really, really beautiful. I think it's very helpful for individuals to really get a sense of what this can feel like and look like, um, because it's something we talk a lot about, I think.
Mm-hmm. I
But
think so too. Yeah. I
yeah,
didn't know what grounding was when I started. And I started um, with reading the Akashic records. And I initially was a life coach. I went through life coach training, and then I became a master life coach. And I thought that was the end all be all. And I loved it. And I was working with clients, and then one day changed everything. I saw a book in a shop that had the Akashic records. It was called the Akashic Records. And I I didn't buy the book at that moment, but it just kept sticking in my mind and I couldn't forget about it. And so I ended up buying it and reading it. cover to cover, and just highlighting most of the book. And when I started practicing reading the Akashic records myself, all of that self-doubt and all of the things we've touched upon came in for me. So much so that when I shared it with a friend of mine, and she said, well, I don't know about that. I just that one comment made me shut it all down because I had my own doubts about it. So I just want to mention that for people who are just beginning this spiritual journey, that, there's going to be doubt. And the way I work through my self-doubt is I like to imagine my ego and my self-doubt as children. And I like to imagine that I'm giving them something to do. Like I'll give them paints, or I'll send them to the beach, that type of thing, and tell them like, I've got this, I'm safe, don't worry about me, you go off and take a break, that type of a thing. But you can come up with your own creative way to calm that self-doubt down within yourself. And I think I went off on a tangent, like from what you asked me. I think I didn't answer the question, but
No, you answered the question, and then you took the reins, which is really beautiful, because I think you've led us into a, um, a really important topic, which I know is also part of what you want that we're here to speak about, which is like self-doubt. Like when we feel that self-doubt, um, and I mean, I do want to wind back at some point to the breath, but we can do or we may not. But um, like self-doubt, you talk about self-doubt as being a threshold. And I'm wondering if you want to talk a little bit more about that, because I think you're right, or in my experience, certainly, that when doubt comes up, it doesn't mean that I'm either on the right or the wrong track. So for listeners who are listening, if self-doubt comes up, it doesn't mean you're on the wrong track. It doesn't even necessarily mean you've got deep wounding that you have to repair. It can do. But it can also be, from what I've heard, like I know it is in Laura's field, is that it can be a threshold. And I'm wondering if you'd like to talk a little bit more about that and about how to move with the self-doubt through that process.
yeah, I mean, I think there's certain things that they just come up in all of us because they're part of our survival mechanisms. Um, from way, way, way back, they were necessary, but now we're in a much safer environment. But they don't necessarily know that. so, so, um, so yeah, it can definitely be a threshold. It can block you if you're not able to have it move aside. So, self-doubt, and I think I touched on fears. Like if you're fearing, there's a lot of people that are afraid to tap in, let's say, to the Akashic records because their belief system is that something bad could come through or something like that, or some type of scary information could come through.
Mm-hmm.
And so um, it's also about educating yourself and understanding how things work, which will also calm things down in the nervous system, knowing what you're doing. And, the self doubt is a natural part of us. I mean, I feel like I haven't met anyone that doesn't have any self doubt at times, right? So it's just a part of the work. Allowing, that to be set aside and knowing how to do that. And if it's creeping back in, being able to steer it back out and regulate yourself again. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a situation recently where I was in session and um, I asked a question, and the person, was saying, no, I'm not sure about that, and just that little bit of uncertainty, I had to like recheck myself and come back to the guidance, you know. So it's just something to be aware of. That's just a normal process that I've found in this work. And as you develop, and as things, um, because things are always developing too. So I started reading the Akashic records, but then, you know, I worked through and I healed enough to where things opened up and I could see spirit. And then now, recently, my hands are moving, and I'm not moving them, but they're doing their own energy work, you know. So, and I'm starting to, you know, see things with the trees. So, I mean, it's always an ongoing development. In the same way as, let's say, our self love throughout our life and things like that. So, um, yeah, I want people to know that they can also do this type of work. I wasn't one of those people that was clairvoyant my whole life, or I don't remember seeing spirits when I was younger, even though my mom said I had a lot of imaginary friends, and who knows, but I just don't remember um, having gifts like that, other than being a highly sensitive person and being able to sense energy with people. And when I started reading the Akashic records, I, you know, I didn't know if I was doing it correctly initially, and so I did have that doubt. But what happened was I ended up quitting after that friend also had the doubt, and I went to Kripalu Yoga Center for a training in regard to transformational retreats. But I saw that they had an Akashic Records reader there. And so I thought, well, I've never had a professional reading. I think I'm going to sign up for one. And the first thing that she said was, they want you to know this is not your imagination. And you're meant to be doing this work if you so choose. And it was one of those moments that just, you know, when you hear something true, and it just shot through me. And I was like, I knew it. I knew I was supposed to be doing this. And so following your own compass and following the truth that you feel in your own body, because when you hear the truth, you will get chills. There will be definite signs within you that something's true. And even if you don't know why, we have cellular memory that we hold, and our body knows. And so just, you know, really trusting the body is very important as well.
It's beautiful. It winds us back to the body, and in a way, I mean, it's interesting because the body can't hold self-doubt. Now, we can hold self-doubt, which is more on the mental field. The body, yes, can hold, can be carrying emotional overload, and even mental overload that can look like it's coming from the body. But the body, actually, the body itself can't hold self-doubt. So when you start, because I think this comes back to our theme of the body as the gateway, is when you come back to really listening to the body and tuning into the truth that the body has to, the response the body is having, in the actual response the body is having, the divine truth the body is speaking to you, then that is the way to know the path forward. That can be the truth holder for yourself, and then you can allow the mental field or the self-doubt or the ego or whatever just to soften. I mean, you gave a beautiful example of sending it to the beach and giving it some crayons or some drawing or painting utensils. It's
Yeah.
just another way, you know, it's a way to allow it to soften.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other piece that I think is like you're carrying so strongly in your field to really support the individuals who are listening, is that this kind of, to be able to listen to the body, you need to be in a more of a down regulated state. Because
Right.
otherwise, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. I mean, if things are chaotic within you, you won't receive the information, or the information that you receive will be distorted. You won't have a clear reading. And so, I will say a lot of body sensation comes in my readings, and a lot of times fear is held in the stomach, and the way it comes through is as nausea, or it'll feel like um, anxiety or nervous energy. And so, what we'll do is we'll use the breath to bring that energy, that heavier energy, down, so that it can ground into the earth, and we can give it to Mother Earth to alchemize. And a lot of times, then after it's alchemized, I'll bring it up through the feet again and into the heart space to be used for empowerment.
Mm.
So a lot of um, a lot of our emotional energy can be stored in the body, um, and that is why, if we don't listen to our body, it can then turn into pain and then eventually disease if we really don't listen for a long time.
Mm.
So yeah, the body is so important in telling us where we need to work and what we need to work on. Um, yeah, I've just experienced so much clear, things that need to be cleared, and heaviness that need to be cleared out of the body within session.
Mm. Absolutely, absolutely. And the piece I'm wondering about as well is when we say the body is the gateway to our spiritual gifts, what does that mean? The gateway to the spiritual gifts. We've got the kind of the nervous system and clearing the body and listening to the body. Uh,
Well,
Is it that yeah.
everything has to flow through the body. That's where our energy centers are. And so the the gateway to energetic information is through our energy centers, our chakra system. And so that's where everything is flowing. I keep doing, sorry, that's where everything is flowing. And so that's really why I say the body is the gateway, because the divine energy is flowing through.
Yeah, beautiful. And the divine energy will flow. It will still flow through an upregulated system. It will still flow through when we have um, aspects in our body that are denser, that are kind of that may be unprocessed processed emotions like fear. Uh, it's just that it hasn't got so much space and place to really filter in. So when it hits those denser places, it can feel uncomfortable. Sometimes we
Yes.
alchemize those denser things with the energy, and sometimes it just doesn't come in. It's like hitting a wall and then even bouncing back off sometimes. But really, also what you're talking about is because using this beautiful this your hands is like talking about flow. So it's allowing it to flow through, or having the space so that it can flow through and really ignite and light up the gifts, like that might be clairvoyance, or it might be kind of heartfelt love for humanity and for yourself.
Yeah, and I think the first thing that dropped in for me was just um, I guess, packets of information. So it felt like just things would come to me, and then I learned they were packets of information that dropped in. So, so yeah, it's definitely a process of um, unfolding. What exactly is happening. You kind of learn as you go, and then it's also unfolding these layers of ourselves. Um, and as we lift off those layers, we change our frequency and we become lighter. And that new frequency allows us to be a match with these different gifts, uh, for these different gifts to come in. So, for example, I I went to Peru on this trip with 8 beautiful women, and there were 5 different shamans kind of coming in and out, working with us at different places. And we were at what they call the heart of Machu Picchu, which is this huge um, rock face that's really beautiful. And we were standing there, and all of a sudden I got this rush. I could tell that I needed to walk away from the group. And I didn't know why, but I walked over and put my hands on this rock and just put my forehead on it and just had this gush of emotion come out. I was just bawling, and there was no reason for it. It just happened. I mean, there was a reason, behind the scenes spiritual reason, but like I consciously didn't know. There was nothing that was upsetting me at that moment. And a friend of mine from the group walked over, and she put her hand on my shoulder, and she was just witnessing what was happening. And she did energy work, and she was also a shaman. And she leaned over to me and she said, "I can see your light. It's getting brighter." And it was such like a comforting and so sweet, like such a comforting thing for her to say, because I didn't know what was happening, and it was so intense. And, it was just this big release. And so after that trip, when I came home, I started to notice that I could see the auras on the trees and the plants. And even when I was on a Zoom call, if there were plants in the background, their auras would be blinking. And then I started to see spirit, like on my Zoom calls, like um, entities in light, like standing, what was either usually in human form, standing next to the person. And, it was so shocking because I hadn't had that before. As I feel like I'm one of those people that's always been fascinated by mediums, and subconsciously, I probably really wanted to be one. So I was like thrilled when that happened. But yeah, that's truly what I believe allowed that to come in for me. It was that huge release. So I really think it's all about, you know, peeling back these layers and healing ourselves, and then making sure that when we do receive this divine guidance, that we really follow it and we practice it and integrate it, embody it. And that's where we'll have these, shifts that really change our reality of who we are.
It's beautiful. It feels like you've embodied the process, and also given the listeners the gift of what that process, the of that process can look like, so that it's fully integrated, and that then allows the spiritual gifts to come through naturally without,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Because I wasn't asking for it necessarily, consciously. Um, but yeah, I mean, we just don't know, there's so many things that we've done in past lives that we're not aware of right now. We've forgotten, but it's inside of us too. And so, a lot of times it's great to have a session with an energy healer or facilitator, so that this awareness comes in and flips on that switch too, because that happens a lot in session as well, where there will be a spirit there, and they're wanting to let somebody know about this past life where they were really brave or really courageous. And they want to tell them the story of how they used their voice in a time where it was dangerous, let's say, and maybe they were even killed for that. But now it's safe, and maybe that person has had a fear of using their voice from this past life, and that just helps it to dissolve, which is really beautiful. Um, so yeah, I really think it's all about healing ourselves, peeling back the layers, and then all of these beautiful gifts can open up as well.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And what I'm sensing, like as you're saying, giving that example, I'm actually sensing there are a few people who are listening have had that experience in other lifetimes or something similar that's blocked the voice. So what I think you're also kind of opening up for those who are listening is the possibility of 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 shifting what might have been in another lifetime through Akashic records, or through another process, so that you can open up to your spiritual gifts in this lifetime, because it is something I think that many of us have done, but it's highly possible that the gifts are very, very close. It's simply that the fear that's arisen from that lifetime is playing out in this lifetime. And so it's
Right,
creating like this block to actually just receiving your natural ability, which is already there.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And it's been interesting too, because um, this concept of mirrored timelines has come in as well, where it's um, it's about something that your soul was wanting to complete in a past life that was not able to be completed because somebody was put to death, or yeah, I had a, a client who um, initially she had a spirit come in, and I connected with the spirit, and it was her mother from a past life, which I didn't know. I didn't know that happened. Like when I first came into this work of seeing spirits and connecting with them, and um, I I assumed that they were always going to be from this life, but that's not what's happened. And so they come in, and they they have a purpose. Um, they want to ignite something. They want this important aspect of you, or in this particular session, it was this mirrored timeline. And what happened was her mother showed up from a past life and showed me this vision of her as a young girl holding her hand, and she was at this market, and they were living in the Middle East. And her mom was saying something to this man at the market, and it was something benign, but whatever she said to him, he struck her down. And that made this little girl, who was my client in that past life, it like this anger rose up, but in a in a good way, where she was really wanting to, she didn't want to see that happen anymore, and she was really empowered to help the powerless, who were women. And so um she and her sister, so the next session, her sister showed up from that past life, and it turned out she was a twin. And she and her sister were going to come into this really important role of a leadership position through the family line. And because they didn't have any other siblings, they were going to be able to have this leadership role. But their cousin didn't think that women should have leadership roles. And so what happened is he ended up poisoning them so that he could be next in line for that. But what came through in the session was that she said, we knew something was wrong, but we didn't know what it was. And when I said that, this light switch went on for my client, and she was like, oh my God.
I know. The hand.
She said, she said, that's what's happening in my life right now. I didn't know what was happening, but I knew what something was wrong. And I found out I was being poisoned by black mold in my home. And so what happened then were all of these, I think there were three different pathways for her to empower people who were um, feeling powerless through whether it was their, they were being poisoned by bad water in their communities or the mold in their house, or I can't remember the third one, but she was like, yes, I've been thinking about, I really want to help people because I've been going through this myself and I have all of this information. And I think this is happening to a lot of people. So she was really passionate about helping the powerless in this way. And what was interesting is that the poisoning, it really was a true mirror, because in the past life, the poisoning was what ended her life's purpose by ending her life. But in this life, it was giving her purpose. And so it was a true reflection of the opposite.
Mm. Beautiful, and a true reflection or a true opportunity or reflection of how that parallel lifetime or that other timeline is being completed through the act of this timeline. So it's like it just kind of comes into one. And then,
Yes.
yeah, and there is this true completion, but also empowerment to move forward and actually,
Yes.
yeah,
Right. And
yeah,
empowerment. Right. Exactly. And
yeah,
so that's
yeah.
been really fascinating because I didn't ever hear of that before. The concept of a mirrored time, I got mirrored timeline. And it kept happening. I kept seeing it happen. And so, yeah, it was really fascinating and really beautiful because I could see that it really was turning on that switch for people. And they did feel like really empowered on their path, just knowing that bit of history for themselves.
It's beautiful. And the other piece that I think is important to name is that, like the, how do we put it? There are, we all carry keys and codes. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the keys and codes we carry will support another individual's activation. So it could just be in a conversation that you're having with a neighbor. It could be a
Yes.
smile as you pass
Yes.
someone in the street. And in this case, it was the few words that you said in response to this past life opening up that was like the key that unlocked within her um,
Yes.
what,
It
yeah,
matched
that
with,
match.
right. Right. Exactly. And it's funny too, just hearing you say that, it brings up within sessions where we started going down the road of getting information. And then all of a sudden, my client was receiving information for the first time themselves. So I do think, you know, just sitting with somebody like strength in numbers and, having somebody who can hold like a higher frequency that you can match with is really helpful in regard to opening gifts as well. Again, it's kind of a little shortcut where you can kind of learn with somebody.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a little bit of you can entrain your system so that you learn how
Yes.
to do the thing, which is what we're doing as we grow up with our parents, is we're basically being entrained through how they're being in the world. And then
Right.
sometimes we have to unlearn some of that entrainment, and sometimes we carry some of it forward because it's been great. But it
Exactly.
is, yeah, yeah, it is coming. Yeah, it really is a shortcut, and it's also a beautiful. I think it's more than a shortcut. I think it's almost yeah, part of what
Yeah.
we do. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it is a beautiful thing to sit with somebody and share that sacred space. I always feel like it's such an honor. Yeah, very humbling.
yeah, 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 I do as well. And actually, what I'm wondering is if this is a good time to deepen into offering those who are listening to this an experience of being held in that way and sitting in sacred space with you.
Yeah, that would be great. Of course, I can do that.
Thank you.
Okay, so if everyone can get comfortable in their seat in an upright seated position, or lie down if that's available for you. And close your eyes and begin breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And go ahead and go at your own pace too, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And now with the next inhale, breathe into the heart. And with each breath, expand the heart out. Now past the body. Now expand it out into the room that you're in. Now all the way into the town or city that you're in. And now the country. Just imagine this beautiful pink light from your heart, just filling it up. And with our next breath, we're going to expand it all the way around the earth. And just see as this light creates a sphere holding the earth. And now take it past the moon into the stars. And just allow yourself to float out in the blackness of the stars. And just feel into the nothingness. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to push against. All you have to do is just be. Continue breathing. Knowing that you are enough as you are. You are worthy of everything you desire. There's nothing you have to strive for. You just have to be. Authentically who you are. You chose this personality, this body, over anything else, anyone else that you could have been. You chose to be you because you bring something here that nobody else has. So just sink into your authenticity. Allowing that knowing to flow through you, through your soul. You are right where you're meant to be. You are who you chose to be. And you're always enough. So now, with the next breath, imagine bringing all of that beautiful pink light all the way back into your heart space, all the way back from the cosmos, from around the earth, all the way through into your heart. And we're going to send all of that beautiful energy down through your central channel, down through your legs, through the soles of your feet, and down into the earth, all the way down to the crystalline core of the earth, igniting her with this beautiful, unconditional love and gratitude. Thanking her for supporting us, for nourishing us, for allowing the air that we breathe, the fire that warms us, the water that runs through us. Thanking her for nurturing us. Now asking her to spiral up back into our heart space. Knowing that we are a natural part of her, just as the trees, just as the flowers, the animals, all of her elements. We are a part of nature. And just knowing that we can ask for her support anytime we need it. And bringing down that divine white light now into our hearts through our soul star chakra, down through our crown, third eye, throat, and down into our heart space. Asking that we are a clear conduit for divine guidance and light for ourselves and for others. And just knowing that we can allow that ease of allowing that knowledge of being held divinely and being held by the earth. And knowing that we're enough just as we are. And just feeling that lightness and peace. And allowing ourselves just to be. Now, as we come back to the present moment, allow yourself to wiggle your fingers and toes and begin to come back. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. I feel light. I don't know how you're feeling.
Yeah, I felt absolutely like so nurtured into feeling safe. And the one kind of like message that came through was, and I think it's for those of you listening, it's for everyone, is like to feel safe with being in yourself, to feel safe with your authenticity, and to allow your authenticity to really shine through. And that this,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Thank you. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, thank you. Yeah, so I think the meditation provided like a container and a kind of almost like a pressure valve for individuals to feel safe to do that, to bring that through more.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really passionate about people really being themselves and not, it's so easy. And I certainly fall into it myself, of comparing ourselves and wanting to be like somebody else and not seeing how special we truly are. And yeah, if we are all trying to be something else, the puzzle's not going to fit together.
It's not the image I'm getting is like kind of like monkeys dancing, kind of like just dancing all over the place versus I don't know, many of the audience may be a bit young to remember this. I don't know if they still have it, but there's a monkey game where the arm of the monkey links to the other arm of the monkey.
Yes, I had that.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
the
So
barrel of monkeys.
the barrel of monkeys. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so when you're actually just everyone is yourself, then it all connects up in a way where it's very aligned and delightful.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
really, there's so much fear in being who we truly are. And, a lot of this work uh, can allow yourself to truly, calm those fears too.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and I think as we become more and more comfortable with being ourselves and being ourselves, then that also downregulates our nervous system because part of the reason the nervous system is upregulated
Exactly.
is because we're trying to be something that we're not, or we're doing all the
Yeah.
hoops.
Yeah. Or we've got like a fear of judgment or fear of rejection and all these different fears of the unknown, fears of being laughed at. I mean, and then those are blocking what we truly want to express.
And
And, I'm speaking through experience. I've gone through all of this myself. especially putting myself out there with my work and coming from uh my extended family isn't, you know, I came from a Catholic upbringing, so it's very different from what, you know, I guess that experience that I grew up with. It's so I've worked through a lot of fears of judgment and, you know, now social media, putting myself out there in that way. So that there's like different steps, different levels to go through. Um, and I'm with you. Like I'm working through it too. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really important for individuals to hear that we're all on this path. No one is immune to the constant unfolding of what's within, whether it be the light or the shadow. And really it is about moving through it and just allowing and allowing yourself to shift, to move through it really in whatever way is most aligned for you to do so. And that things will happen naturally when we do this. Yeah. And the
yeah,
more, yeah, the more
exactly.
ourselves, the easier it gets. Yeah.
Yeah, the more we step forward with confidence, the easier it becomes
Mm,
because it's empowerment.
exactly. That's right. That's right. Yeah. And then there becomes a point where it just is. There isn't really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, where nobody else's opinion, can really throw you or ruin your day.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, when you become more comfortable with who you are.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I feel like listeners have been on a kind of quite a journey um, in this conversation.
I know we've been kind of going like this. So it's been beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know also that you have this beautiful free gift to offer listeners. So it's a free cleansing and clearing meditation plus an activation.
Yes. And they can go to my website for that, which is lauraevenson.com. And basically, it's uh, with all the chaos going on right now, especially in our country in the US, people are carrying a lot of heaviness and they are, a lot of it isn't even theirs. It's, you know, just watching the news, you can take on a lot of pain through those stories and just knowing what's happening. So this is something that you can do, and it's only 10 minutes, I think. And it'll just help you release a lot of the heaviness that your body's carrying. Again, it goes back to the body.
Mm,
And so I invite you to download that free meditation.
mm. It's beautiful. It's really, it sounds like when I feel into it, it sounds like a beautiful, beautiful tool for individuals to have. And really encouraging you listeners to pick it up because it's going to help clear some of the dense energies in the body, and the body is like a key, such a key to
Yes.
embodying your authentic self and activating or bringing forward the gifts naturally that you carry and really being yourself, because that's the essential key. So as you clear through the density in the body, that really supports you to find that truth within.
Right.
Yeah.
So well said.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for the free gift, and really, yeah, again, encouraging those of you who are listening to pick it up, and also to know that it will also be on the, like, you'll be able to pick it up on the summit page. So the page that you were taken to for these interviews and for the recordings of these interviews, it's also under Laura's name there too. So you can just click the
Okay,
link that way,
perfect.
and that will also take you to the free gift, and it will take you to Laura's website as well.
Great.
That's
Thank you.
yeah. Um, so Laura, thank you so much for contributing to the summit, for contributing to this conversation, for having this conversation with us. It's been really amazing and
Oh,
beautiful.
thank you, Catherine. It's an honor for me to be here and so wonderful to chat with you. Thank you so much for having me.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I want to thank listeners. Thank you, listeners, for being here. We couldn't do this, we wouldn't be able to co-create this conversation with so much ease and grace without you. So thank you for your presence. And even though this is pre-recorded, you have joined us in the higher planes. You're absolutely here while we have these conversations and create. And as a way of completing, Laura, I'm wondering if you'd like to kind of take us out and with a message or something you'd love listeners to take from this time together.
Yeah, I just want people to know how beautiful they are. That they're, you know, to find a way to begin to put your message out there, whatever moves you or whatever is authentically you, whether that's a artwork or whether that's music or whatever lights you up. And you know, start working toward putting it out there and really sharing yourself with the world. That's really yeah, I want people to know that they're special as they are, and then also that they um you know, I'm not special in the way that um I'm bringing through gifts. You can do it too. I just kind of negated what I just said.
You're not special,
What
but
I
you are
mean
special.
is, I'm special too. But what I can do, you can do as well in your own way. I do it in my authentic way, and you do it in yours.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, I'm laughing because the guys are going, well, that was the Laura's authentic way of saying it. It was
It totally was. All my friend, if my friends watch, they'll be like, "That's so her." Yeah.
okay. I think that's landed for everyone, which is really beautiful.
Oh my gosh. Uh,
Thank you.
well, this has been amazing. Thank you so much, Catherine.
Absolute pleasure. And thank you. With love, with grace, and with heart.